listening to guys talk that aren't doing CrossFit. It's never fucking happened. It's a very early adopter stage, and I'm gonna rant about it later, but I cannot tell you how excited I am that you guys are coming here to listen to this. I'm very excited for what's gonna happen for the microgym industry in the next 15 years with thought processes like this. And get frustrated here, going back to this, get frustrated. If you're not frustrated, you're not doing anything special, all right? Don't copy what you see, guys. Just do it different, do it better, do it to your tune. Execution and patience. I just wrote this one up for you in the notes. Assume you're rebranding a current model. You know, with your new model, you're gonna need people who are excited about it. And unfortunately, if you're coming from the CrossFit world, you've got a bunch of guys that get, rock hard come the open time. You tell them you're flipping your model, you may or may not have them on board. I've literally had on multiple occasions someone come up to me to say that their head coach or their GM or their business partner wasn't here, and they can't wait for them to watch the keynotes, because if they're not on board on the new mission, they don't see them a part of the company anymore. And that's the reality of it, 100,000%. Our staff went down to, whoop, we lost it. Brought in new blood, kept the good blood, start fresh. That is gonna be something that when you execute on the HR side is gonna be a very painful thing, because a lot of us are emotionally tied to our coaches and our staff, but it is something that, again, needs to be executed on and needs to be done patiently. Begin creating content. You guys get so sick of me probably saying that to you. You are the reason they believe in CrossFit. They heard of it, they had Googled it, they had seen an ESPN clip, but they walked in and you really sold them on it. I use the example all the time when I told everyone we're gonna stop dropping barbells from overhead. We're gonna stop doing touch and go reps. We're gonna get rid of all those things that went fast. And if anyone was here for my class, our thing is the time under tension and slow movement. And people are like, well, your members, what did they say about that? It's like, we tell them we're doing a grip strengthening cycle. Guys, your grip is gonna get stronger when you eccentrically lower the bar down. It's actually better for structural strength. The eccentric portion is such an important part of movement. Blah, blah, blah. I was able to build science around it. Oh, okay. Why do you guys do hand release deadlifts? In my head, because I don't want the fucking noise of some douche touching going 315. I want the pause, release the hands, pick it back up. I want it quiet. I got a fucking coffee shop. That was my internal reason. Externally, I was able to go ahead and pitch it as a grip strength thing. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, Coach Stu. You can educate your clients on whatever route you're about to go. Because I promise you, you're going a route that is somewhere rooted in science. Rooted in science to the degree that you can stand on it. You don't have to come up with new science. I guarantee you it's already there. I asked Steve earlier, well, Stu says all good programs have some kind of scientific root. We talk work to rest ratios here. Orange Theory has EPOC. What is it that you guys really put in your head on? And Steve, very simply, it's just, because that's just how Steve is. He goes, it just fucking works. It's just functional movements. It works. Anyone can do it. And that's good enough. I'm not talking about this having to be super specific. But make sure that when you explain these changes, you're going to take back to your gyms and your classes, because I know that's where a lot of you guys are going with this. You're going to change your current thing. You explain it. Drip that content to your members. A couple of things I recommend for that. R&D your classes. Mike talked about how they did it. When he told me that story when I went and visited him, that kick-started ours. We held an R&D class in here for months. We had the entire Lululemon staff come in. We had members come in. I had staff come in. I had friends of staff, friends of members. And I ran them through R&D classes so I could watch and see facial expressions. I had Joe do, it was as exhaustive as I can make it before I took it live. You want to R&D the fuck out of this thing. And then the last thing is creating a brand manual. And the brand manual is something that I know what it is. I've seen them. You ever go into Google and put in like Lululemon style guide or Lululemon brand manual or brand code or whatever, and it pulls up and it says all the things that you can or cannot do with that brand. It's meant for the marketing team. These are the color palettes. These are all the things this is how it's positioned. This is the voice of the brand. We're almost 3 years into Urban. And all the focus we had on the beginning was operationally here. And I know a lot of you guys, and I'm very humble, I'm very honored by that. You've been looking at Urban Movement like, dude, Stu's got his shit together. That branding is on point. You see his bathrooms, there's the square thing is on the bathroom door. That guy's got it. And we've done okay. And I've got that guy over there, Joe Tabaldi, to thank for that. But with my aspirations and what I want to do with Urban, and I want someone to stroke me a fucking $1 million, $2 million check like Mike's getting, I had to have something more sophisticated. And while the business operationally and scaling and all that is not there yet, I'm always starting projects earlier than I probably need to because I just believe everything takes 10 times longer than it should. So this second portion here, Boris, I'm going to talk about him in a second. Boris is the founder of Metcon Creative, which is a brand design firm out of Sydney, Australia. If you've looked with OPEX, James Fitzgerald, OPT has done. Everyone familiar with OPEX? Again, because I'm an 06, 05 CrossFitter, James Fitzgerald could do no wrong in my eyes. That's like, he's like my hero as a kid. Like, just like a college student, just the absolute dude. But bro, individual design, that's what you're gonna sell? What a fucking shitty word. Nobody knows what individual design is. Say that to someone at the coffee shop and run that by them and they're like, what do you fucking sell? Insurance? So if you've been watching OPEX, and I've got a close relationship with them, they've had such a hard time figuring out their new brand. OPEX is the new name, but their brand was just, in my opinion, fucking confused for a very long time since they changed their name. It's been a couple years. And then insert Metcon Creative, and I watched OPEX change. I got to see them work and use Flex on all their websites and see the language change and the branding change. And I said, let me go talk to that boomerang throwing motherfucker down there and see what he's got. And he said a line here, and I'll quote, he couldn't be here by the way. Boris is he's one of the sponsors of this event. His wife is pregnant and Sydney's a far fucking flight, so he cannot be here. But the key to a successful brand is finding a balance between consistency and flexibility, but making sure the brand is instantly recognizable, but flexible enough to evolve. And that was what, like when he said that to me, I said, this guy gets it. He understands he's not slapping you with a logo and trying to just get your rocks off by putting it on a Yeti mug in an image with Photoshop. And that's exactly what spoke to me. So today, besides Joe and besides Isaac and Deuce and Boris, no one has seen the brand new brand manual for Urban Movement. No one's seen it. This is version 2. We will probably have version 3 and 4, and it will be eventually part of my presentation deck that I give to someone who I'm looking to stroke me a big fat check. You guys are the first ones that'll see it. If you've thought what we've been doing social media, branding wise and all that has been dope, I think you'll be very surprised, but my goal is to take you through this and the thought process behind it. Everyone's been talking very high level about why they rebranded and then getting low level into the numbers and into like how many people per class. I want to get into the sexy stuff, which is a fucking logo, the colors. How do I do this thing on, like, how do I make it look cool? And that's what we're gonna be doing right now. So up until now, this is essentially what we ran with. Really cool stuff. A lot of you guys are like, oh man, cool. I mean, some of you fuckers have probably even copied this stuff, which I'm very humbled by. You know, looks good, it looks clean. The website is a flex site, so you know it's dope. But we needed to change. I needed to be more consistent. I needed to be better. Because if you're doing the same shit 3 years from now, like the same everything, your language is the same, your marketing is the same, your messaging is the same, I promise you it could be updated. Maybe by a few points, maybe by fucking, a mile, but you need to constantly be looking to keep up. So 4 a.m. branding project. Some of you guys know I get up very early. I get in here 3:30 in the morning, and then I would get on a 4 a.m. call with Sydney, with Boris, and we would work on this. And I've got an amazing video coming out, long form content that documents my entire process with this branding project and beating my head as to how do we make it pop? How do I make it cool? How do I reach the people of Charlotte and any other city I want to, urban movement to pop in? So we go ahead and we set out on what Boris calls a clear brand workshop. And a clear brand workshop is essentially Boris drilling me on the brand. Those questions that I showed you earlier that a lot of you guys were looking at, and you're like, I don't know how I'd answer those. That's what it was. The Clear Brand Workshop was essentially me, and I have a pretty good grasp on my brand. I've had good teachers, and him just literally making me feel like I knew nothing. Asking me questions that made me dig into my soul as to why I was even doing this. Why would anyone care? Who is it going to help? What problem is it going to solve? And why would anyone want to give you money for it? How are you going to make money for somebody else? Whether it be a gym owner who franchises it, someone who strokes a check, Someone who looks for you, they're investing in you to make them less fat or just have a good time or 3D Tinder the gym and meet somebody. How are they all going to care? And that process was very humbling, but it's probably that's probably one of the most fun times I've had in business in a while, is going through that piece of humble pie and kind of re-falling in love with the brand all over again. We set out with mission statements, core beliefs. In traction, you go over your core values, your core focus, and in your core focus, you figure out what it is you're going to do better than anyone. It's what we call your niche, right? You come up with why does the business exist, and you get very deep in there. And Boris knew I was a big fan of traction, so we started breaking that into the pieces that were going to be there. When people like you, literally, I can draw a line as to our core values. And then the things you'll see on social media, why things are a certain way, why is the logo like this, why did you use that font, all that. We went ahead and we did our client avatars. My client avatars here are a lot different, very different than many. Me and Brandon always have a good time talking about the Charlotte market and how it's transient and nomadic. It's very much like the microbrewery market in Charlotte. People like to bounce around to different gyms. There's some people that dial into that one home gym, and then you have people on the ClassPass, tit that are running around, and how do you reach to all of them? So we sat down and we just didn't figure out the AGI, adjusted gross income of a 26 to 38-year-old within 4 miles of Charlotte. Where are they before you work out? Where are they after they work out? What do they do with their friends? What type of posts do they make? Do they take a picture of a sweat angel and talk about the pain and anguish they went through? Or do they take a picture with their 2 girlfriends having ciders next door afterwards and saying, no pain, no champagne? What are they doing? How can I speak to them? I need to know the language and how they speak so that I can replicate that in all the branding that we do. We had goals. We needed to clean it up, make it consistent, and then make it repeatable. I'm repeatable everything. Me and Isaac, she would want to kill me at times. So Stu, why don't we do it this way? Because it's not black and white. I can't scale it. There's too much variance. It accommodates too many people. It's this or that, this or that. And a lot of our branding is way too varied. So we went around looking for inspiration. We went around and you'll hear people call these swipe files. I call them an inspo folder. An inspo folder to me is a folder, literally an album on my iPhone. Anytime I have an inspiration, I take a photo. I take a screenshot. It goes in my inspo folder. I shoot it over to Joe at 2 in the morning, pisses him off. I'm like, dude, can we do this? Joe was in New York City, and one of the elements that made it to this current round of the brand design came from a cafe that he walked by in New York City. And he, boom, snapped it, sent it to me. I think we talked on the phone for 30 minutes as he walked around New York City on that. Have an inspo folder, a swipe file, whatever you want to call it, where you keep any and all inspiration. Kind of like what Pinterest does, but that's a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down. You'll spend too much time. Just fucking keep it on your phone. Inspo folder, swipe file, keep your inspiration close by. Look at it frequently. Color patterns. This isn't a big deal, but this is important. You want to have a consistency level, even when it comes to a color palette. Fonts. I'm going to go into the analness of the fonts here in a second, because Joe didn't like the G, literally. So when you guys are picking fonts and you're putting things out in media, the only way you know me and you're sitting here and I have your money and your fucking attention is because I put out consistent content. If I came to you super sweet and fucking nice to you in one video and then another video I'm calling you a fuckface, you wouldn't be sitting here, I fucking promise you. I'm consistent. You can rely on WTF to provide you a certain type of piece of content every fucking time. You know what you're going to get with me, which is why you're here. I need your gym to do the same thing. I need my gym to do the same exact thing. And it wasn't doing that. It wasn't consistent enough, even at the basic level of a font. Culture kits. So iconography is a big part of design. Boris has schooled me in iconography. And one of the things you guys all know we run with is sweat local. I like that. I don't know why. I probably saw a drink local at a coffee shop or something inspired me at some point. So we needed to make an icon. Urban Movement's logo is okay. It's not great, it's okay. I needed something that could come alive in other places that people would see and think of us. So we went to town and started working. probably the best workout in Charlotte was stolen from a cafe in New York City that Joe walked by that said, probably the best cafe in New York. There's just something cocky about it that I fucking loved. It was just very subtle. The word probably was just really powerful to me because everyone's trying to be the best. And I personally in business just want to be better, the better option than somebody. I think being the best comes with a lot. There's a lot there you better come with if you want to be the best. And there was something about that language, and we tested it and we tried it and we ran it through and we landed on utilizing it. And you'll start seeing it come alive in murals on the side of the building once all these breweries and all that go in behind me. You're gonna start seeing it come alive maybe in here. But we started working on this iconography, making it come alive in other positions and other ways to bring that idea to people, whether it be apparel, a website, whatever it may be. The box, like there's significance. I mean, Deuce and I did a dog shit job, spray painting this, but this isn't the final thing. We just wanted to see what it would look like. This is an R&D. Like I tell you guys, this is my lab. This is not the product that I want to create. That box was when we created the logo back in 2015, whatever it is. I fucking wanted to just get away from all you fuckers in CrossFit so bad. I wanted to step outside the box. That was the initial design idea behind that. How can I look at it every day and then remind myself where I came from with props, with nothing but props, the Coach G and the movement, but why I don't want to be associated with it, right? How can we make that box come alive? You guys ever see, who's wearing Lululemon right fucking now? No one has a Lululemon piece of apparel that says Lululemon on it. Has that little chick lady on the back. It's the nape of the neck probably, or somewhere very inconspicuous. So our goal is to work on taking that box, and I need this at some point in time to become synonymous, recognizable with urban movement. No, it is not there yet by not even like by a fraction of a percent is it there yet. But I have big fucking aspirations. And my goal is to start placing it in media, print, digital, everything we do to where that becomes a very subtle element in my branding. Just cleverly placed, but significant. The best branding, very clever, but not flashy. You ever see people, really rich people don't wear shirts that say fucking Burberry on them. The dude who got the Burberry shirt on discount wears it that says Burberry across the front, okay? That's what we wanted to create. Isaac, we get people walking here all the time. One of my favorite things to do is for someone to walk and be, hey, my name's so-and-so and I've got this fundraiser, this event, this competition. Can I put your flyer up? And just crinkle it in front of them and go, no. Flyers hanging up in the gym, in my opinion, is fucking tacky. This is not the bathroom at the fucking bar. I hate that shit. And then Boris flips me on it and he goes, but what if it's purposely tacky? So you might not be able to see it, that the tape has the icon, the sweat local. You guys, I glossed over it, but you guys get the sweat drop and the map icon. Purposeful tacky, I could do that. But like double back tape or fucking like masking tape or whatever on the wall, not a chance. So he's opened my eyes to other ways to look at something that I was a hard no on, but if I put branding behind it, I actually like it. Do you guys who here's redone their logo recently and loves their new logo? Anyone recently redo their logo and loves it? Let me just say, who here actually just loves their logo, adores it more than anything? Raise your hand. Okay, wow. Call Boris, Jesus Christ. That is so fucked up. I love I don't have a tattoo. I swear to Christ though, if I got a tattoo, it'd be that square. Ass cheek, right ass cheek. I love this now. I went from something I viscerally hated. Ask Isaac, you don't hang up anything in my fucking gym. Don't you put tape on the goddamn walls. I hate it. To, like, we're buying custom tape, getting it printed as we speak to do this. Because now I'm in love with it, because my fucking DNA is on it. It's mine. That is what I love about branding. It takes something and you have an ownership on it. It's why half you guys want to fucking cut off the lower half of your body because it says CrossFit. You don't fucking love the name CrossFit. You love the programming, constantly very functional. Fuck off with that. You love maybe the second half of what you do or the thing you created. We are self-serving human beings, and so many of us right now, I promise you find something you love, you could put it on anything and you love it. You should love your fucking brand so much you wear it everywhere. I was Kirk was he was here, and I wasn't staring at his ass, but I was, and he had the metabolic pants on, right? And the dude's here repping his brand and all that, but I guarantee you if I found Kirk at Chipotle, he's probably wearing the same thing, even if he's not working that day. They love their brand. Absolutely love it. I want you guys to do the same thing. Making this whole thing come alive with different ways, building, you guys who took our class learned about the different styles of our class, creating stylized fonts for things like that. Just making this come alive. And you can start seeing how this actually looks better than what I had before. Is it the best? No. Is it better? Fuck yeah, and I'm all about better. The G. See that top G up here? According to Joe, that was a weak fucking G. He didn't like how it looked like an arrow. Taylor goes, Stu, that doesn't say grind. I'm literally talking about a 2-week process of changing the fucking capital G, only the capital one. Boris had to go, pull it back out, make it thicker, make it look grindy, make it hard. But Joe wasn't wrong. But that's what he does. He has an eye for those things. I glossed over it. I was like, Boris, oh, this is fucking great. I thought it was amazing. And then, Joe's like, let me see. And he looks over with a microscope and he goes, let's pump the brakes on the G. And I'm just like, dude, this is taking me 9 months. Can we just get over this shit? No, because when you care that much, and that's why you associate yourself with guys who are going to meticulously comb through it, you come out with a much better product. You come out with a much better, is it the best? No. It's better than that pussy-ass G up there. Coming up, just making things, transcending things, like not having everything be hardcore fitness, wanting to transcend the walls of fitness, doing postcards for things like International Women's Day, sending things out for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You got, when everything you post has a barbell, kettlebell, dumbbell, burpee, box jump, and then the card you send out to a member to recognize their 100th class has a burpee, box jump, rower, blah, blah. It's not special anymore. There's certain times to deviate and create contrast in your brand when you want to draw special attention to it. They're going to know this is from us. They're going to see the branding, but it's going to pop because it's not going to look like all that. This is what everyone does. You guys go to social, your website, and then everything looks like this once you have it figured out. And you forget that you still need to make things pop. You guys see the fucking hallway? It's like yellow. Fuck yellow, white. That wasn't one of the colors Stu had. We just wanted something to pop. I wanted something that was going to create some contrast to this gray, black, white kind of thing we have going on fucking everywhere in this building. Build that into your brand manual, that there is times that are permissible and allowable for things to deviate and pop. When are they? How are they done? Create guidelines. That's what a brand manual does. Welcome letters to your members. Making it look very official, proper, however you do this. Gift boxes. Like any surprise and delight that you can give someone. Again, surprise and delight is where you do something they weren't expecting. I go to you and I say, what is it you do? Coaching, community, programming? Like, guess what, fuckface? They expect that. Doing something they don't expect is remarkable. I had a conversation yesterday. Mike and Metabolic have created something remarkable, and which is why they are scaling like they are. I haven't created anything remarkable yet. It's getting there. It's not remarkable yet. Remarkable is something that someone doesn't expect. Generally comes with surprise and delight. Generally associated with very good emotions. How can you make your brand create surprise and delight? If you were here the other day with the cold sweat towels, the scented ones, that is one of the ways we provide some surprise and delight. Can someone copy it? Fuck yeah. Mike were running the numbers of how many fucking washer and dryers he's gonna need if they're gonna do it. All you guys can go and slap people with an aloe-scented fucking mint eucalyptus sweat towel tomorrow. Cold, whatever. It's not what you do. It's the how and why. It's the consistency of it. Digitally, making all this stuff, transition, make it look nice and neat. We have our day ones, our plus ones. We have our podcast, the #SweatLocal podcast. I'm so big on micro gyms doing podcasts to create B2B opportunities. It allows you to highlight your members' B2B opportunities. I did an entire podcast on this. Go listen to it. It has been phenomenal for our place. And then, updating the website. Boris and Joe work together on the OPEC stuff. They'll work together on my stuff. Getting your language in line. Originally, what did that fucking say, Joe? This thing here?
Start your journey, start your finish journey.
Yeah, starting your fitness journey with fuck. That's not language I should use. That's language the Level Method should probably use. They've got a journey laid out, not my clientele. This is what they want. Get in, get moving, get fit, get the fuck out. At the end it should say, get to the brewery, or get to fucking, or whatever it is you're doing. That's what it probably should say. The way we portray our workouts, everything, just keeping everything nice and in line, nice and neat. Our merchandise. I know I'm gonna see this fucking shirt from about half you guys in about 2 months, I guarantee it. Just how are you positioning this thing? Are you being consistent? Could you look at your social, your website, your floor, your walls, your merch, and see consistent themes? That's what a brand manual does. That's, what do you recognize? We recognize for this location when you hit 255 classes. That's the address here, 255. And you guys who grabbed our Wi-Fi password, 255. Right? When you hit 704 classes, local, Charlotte. I'm all about local. If you guys walked around my halls and you took a piss and there was a picture of a dude in a city, in the city of Charlotte, which you could recognize doing something fitnessy, urban-y, in a city setting, moving, keeping consistency with your brand. Now, again, if you look at this was what you guys have been looking. A lot of you have been stealing and copying it, and please, go for it. They're just fucking words. They look good, but we've made it better. And my goal out of this whole thing, I realize you guys can't leave here and rebrand tomorrow. You'll start this journey. Look, that's just a dog shit fucking logo for our podcast. It's just horrible. As you go through it, I want you to just focus every day to make it 1% better. Every day, do something that has more significance than just, let's just do it here. Let's just do it like this. But why? Why are we doing it? Why is it like that? Could I explain it to someone? I don't know, because they did it. Okay, but then don't also come to the fucking Self-Made Summit and say you want to do something special. You cannot just rush and copy things and expect to have something special. That's the antithesis of creating something special. Like I told you, I want to attract people, possibly you guys. Isaac Weisberg, Sasquatch Strength, had a podcast with him. Learned something very interesting. There are CrossFit gyms that are failing. Weird. There are owners who like my shit. And maybe in 5 to 7 years, you've been following along my journey long enough, you like this idea, you've been here a few times for a couple self-made summits, I don't know, and you want me to retrofit your gym and you want to join the urban movement family. How would we present, a professional pitch deck to somebody and get them excited about the idea of an urban movement coming to their city, about them owning an urban movement, being in business with me, with this idea. And those were the things that went into 6 months of doing brand design at 4 a.m. with Boris and Metcon Creative and Joe Tibaldi and Isaac and my team. And it's not done yet. But this entire thing of branding is such a topic, we can't cover it in 3 days. I couldn't cover it in 30. I truly don't think I could. We need SMEs in here on every fucking aspect of it, but what I want you to take away is that you guys are 100% early adopters. You're gonna go back, you're gonna make changes that you were inspired from this weekend. And guess what? Your competitors are gonna copy you and you're gonna get pissed. And then I need you to think, oh, but fuck it, I stole that from Metabolic. Like, it's totally rinsed and repeated. Then you're gonna stop and you're like, that's how it is, okay? Because if you do something that looks like what Metabolic does, or Alchemy, or EvoFit, that's okay. And if you're gonna be one location, I'll be very practical with you. You could probably make it work. Just do it better than the other guys in your specific market. If you have aspirations of growing and scaling, you would better come up with something remarkable. Something with surprising delight, something that clearly shows a difference between you and the other guy. Because just being like, well, Stu got rid of his rig, I'm gonna get rid of the rig and do all this, cool, great. Until an urban movement opens up next to you. Or until the other gym and the other gym and the other gym and the other gym copy it. I love when people think equipment makes them special. We're the only gym with ski ergs. Yeah, for 8 more months. That's it. So when you guys are looking at this, you are definitely tip of the spear. There is no one else doing this. If you would ask me on Friday, even Friday night at the end, will you ever do this again? And I said, absolutely not. I've literally, the most impressive thing in talking with you guys is And I go to these. I've been, super lucky. 3, 2, 1, Go, Box Pro, Lacey's thing at Iron and Mortar. I've done these before. And the one thing I really liked about this was that this is such a big topic. It's life altering. It's literally business altering topic. If you're here, you're considering something that is going to be very business altering. Typically you hear like sales. That's not going to alter your business. It's going to change it and improve it. You're going to hear retention. You're going to hear HR compensation plans. This literally could make or break you. It could change your entire trajectory for your career for the rest of your life. It's a huge topic. And I've, as of yesterday and today, given way more consideration. I've even talked to a few people here about if they were to come speak. That I have a few people that I planted in the audience that are really not here. They're here to learn. But they were more here because if I wanted to ever do this again, I knew they were who I wanted to probably speak at it. And you might have run into a few of them or might have an idea who I'm referring to in here, but we will probably do it again. And I cannot thank you guys enough for coming. And if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. That's it.
How important a second and third stream of revenue is to improve your gym, without what the fuck gym talk.
I always give a caveat when someone asks me, well, Stu, when you did it like this, I'm like, well, again, pump the brakes. I and Steve can play with a little bit of reckless abandon because worst case scenario, I shit the bed. I fuck up. Urban movement wasn't right. I was completely wrong. I put a for sale, for lease sign in the front. Sierra Nevada rents this from me at $34 a square foot, and I'm cool, I'm good. I have the benefit in 2015 of creating a business that does over $250,000 a year. I have extra revenue. I have a play box that is different than your play box. I get it, which is why the advice I always give is never based on my situation. I will tell you historical fact of how I've done it, but I never, ever give you guys a play that I think you should do because my situation is different than yours. So with that, having those extra revenue streams, 100%, yes, I have leeway to do stuff faster and quicker than others will. But whenever you hear me give you advice, just know that is not coming from that lens, ever, not ever.
You mentioned that you said that your biggest mistake was
not keeping CrossFit South End open. If I could have, and it wasn't as much of a mistake as we were forced out. Me and my landlord, I leased that building from a dying man who had not told his family that he was dying. He told me he had influenza. He had stage 4 lung cancer. Great dude. He leased me the building, told me while high on oxygen, and we signed that he would probably be dead soon. So we closed, and the family found out, and they made my life there for 6 years an absolute living hell. The worst landlord experience, and I've heard a lot of bad ones, and this was real bad. So I was being forced out. However, I probably could have taken a higher rent rate, renegotiated, got my lawyers involved, done something, and I should have still kept CrossFit South End open longer, because building this out over here and getting just, even just the slight 0.3% brand awareness that we have here in Charlotte is taking way longer, as I've been pitching this entire time, than I thought. I should have kept that open as a cash flow asset. You've got to be fucking kidding me. Someone ask a question. There we go.
To do a top quality, to get a really good brand manual together.
Like an example? Sorry.
Yeah.
Like a,
To get one, what should you budget for, range, line item?
yeah, be real. So I knew I was going to ask that question, and because Boris couldn't be here, you could spend on a good brand manual probably less than your last Echo Bike purchase. You're probably talking, if you have the budget in the round of $5,000 and under, and up to probably $10,000 to $20,000 on a real intensive end, you could get a very good brand manual done. Here's where it's really costly. You will sit down with Boris, the clock is running, and You don't know what the fuck to say. That is what I would recommend you invest the money in first. Having something to say. I believe it starts with Traction by Gino Wickman. It's followed up by Branding by Patrick Hanlon. And then you're talking to somebody who has done it. Not even necessarily me. Honestly, I really do think there's other brands and industries out there you could get some good feedback on, have people look at it differently. But yes, you better show up with something to say.
Yeah, I have a question. I guess this would be for any of the presenters as well. As you guys have scaled, because we've heard a lot about scaling and growing, what have you guys had to sacrifice with your product to scale and grow?
Phenomenal question. We are actually going to do a full 5-man panel up here at the end. So I love that, but I want to make sure that everyone's got the mic. Cool. That's great, Angela. Adam.
Your logo, are you going to put more emphasis on the icon of the box or written out words?
The Urban Movement box icon logo, that'll still be prominent. The iconography of the Sweat Local will be utilized only when Sweat Local is like the emphasis, like what we do with the podcast on certain apparel, but you won't see that on the front of a box. You might see it maybe on a mural in a building. We're playing around with different things, positioning. You might see it on custom end caps of the barbell. You might see it on the coasters at Red Clay. You might see it on the cups at, mug shots. But it'll be just carefully placed spots. It will not replace the main brand mark.
Do you want to talk about the competition, the lazy argument that my market is just too competitive? Talk about you creating your own unique voice in Charlotte and the real competition we actually deal with in this amazing market.
Yeah.
I think competition is a great thing, and maybe just touch on, a lot of our franchisees will say, well, sure, that'll work in Charlotte. I'm so competitive over here.
Yeah. There's nothing better for business if you're a 7-Eleven gas station than if a BP moves in across the street from you. So when Orange Theory came here, where's Reebok? Reebok's here. So I was on Mint Street, my old location, and Reebok, CrossFit, Uptown Charlotte, moved in on Mint Street half a mile down the road. Everybody's looking at me like, what are you going to do? I was like, what do you mean? I'm gonna make so much money. They're like, why? I'm like, because there's someone smarter at Reebok that decided that was a good place to put a gym. Orange Theory moves in right there. What are you gonna do? Brandon's gonna make way more money because someone decided that has a fucking MBA from Yale and did their fucking demographic research that there are enough people and it's near a Publix and the AGI. It's amazing. It's like having that division. You're literally getting to hack that division of someone's company. When I do it, some of you guys are concept gyms in here. Some of you I've worked with. We've literally looked at a map of where the Orange Theories are in your town. And I'm trying to get you to set up shop wherever we can afford it as close by. So he's 100% right. Competition makes everyone better. Lacey's tagline at the Iron and Mortar Summit is competition makes us faster, collaboration makes us better. I believe all these amazing micro gyms here in Charlotte force me to do a better job, force Brandon to do a better job. Force us to really, because when it's just when it's just metabolic and CrossFit gyms, he's got one person to be better in one kind of gym and then enter new players in the market. Now he's got to figure out his competitive market advantage and position his message to someone who's used to doing fucking treadmill runs for 20 minutes, rower runs for 20 minutes, and doing TRX bands. It forces you to refine your message because your message, as I said, must be always evolving. Always evolving as your market evolves and it gets more competitive. You're like, yeah, when someone tells me, oh, I love it, I've got no one in my area. I'm like, there's definitely a reason you're on a call with me right now. Because nobody fucking else wants to be there. And you haven't figured out if you're the only person in your fucking city and you call me, what the fuck are you doing or not doing? Think about it. Now, Stu, I've got no competition. Then what the fuck is the problem? I want the competition. I want it on top of me. I hope one of these fucking warehouses turn into a Core 704 Pilates fuck theory. I want it right there. We're gonna have them as a sponsor next year. There's someone.
This doesn't have to do with this kind of branding, but you mentioned you think one of the most important things gym owners should do is have a podcast. How do you come up with your content? I mean, you do it so often. Like, how do you come up with?
Yep. Again, so if you go to my podcast, I did an entire one on this to summarize it. You're going to do a couple things. You're going to interview current clients. That does one thing. None of your clients, half of you fuckers, have never been on a podcast. Sally's going to go ahead and her friends will be like, hey, meet us up at the bar at 5. She'll, oh, I can't. After my workout, I'm on a podcast. Like, you're on a podcast? Fucking Hollywood? What do you mean you're on a podcast? My gym is a podcast. Your gym is a podcast? Yeah. And guess what? When you interview Sally on the podcast, guess what you're going to ask about? Who do you work with? Who's your roommate? You got a boyfriend? What's his name? Who's your best friend? Why are you going to do that? Because she's then going to tell those people, I said your name on the podcast. Those fuckers are going to go listen to it because they want to hear what that bitch said. It is the domino effect of passive audio marketing. That is the first one. That is your B2C with your customers. You're going to hear about their stories. We had one of our clients, Dr. Amanda White, on. Amazing story. So good. We had great feedback from our members. They would walk up to her and say, I didn't know you were a doctor. Where are you a doctor at? I need a new general physician. That's dope. You're going to do it for B2B. We do lunch and learns, and we do things where, like Chef Alyssa is a local company here. We do these lunch and learns, and we go around to Roots Cafe. Roots Cafe is it's my apartment building. And right there, we went ahead to the owner. We went and had breakfast there. It was fucking great breakfast. And then we said, hey, we have a gym and a podcast. Would you like to come on it? And they're like, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, your fucking good food. I don't know. Like your story. Tell your story. Charlotte's an entrepreneurial city. People like talking about themselves. Yeah, sure. Craig? Yeah. Craig, the owner, came here, did our podcast. That's B2B. Now I have a relationship with Craig. I go in there once a week. What up, Craig? I get coffee. It's like, hey, dude, one of the employees like, dude, I listened to the podcast. That was so funny. You make fun of Isaac too much, but that was funny. So it's B2B, B2C, and then obviously your internal shit. So then we divvy it up, and me, Isaac, and Deuce talk about events we're having, things we're running, day one, the free week, how we get your friends in here. We'll just talk about shit in the gym. The dynamic of having full-time staff is fun. Any of you guys who have full-time employees, it's like The Office. I always had an idea about taking this vlog and keeping it very office-like between me and my staff here, and it'd be fucking hysterical. I bet you if you put cameras in that place, you guys have some crazy fun rapport and back and forth, brother, sister-like arguments that could be visceral, and then it's very cool. That back and forth, your customers are curious on. They would like to hear that. Why is reality TV so fucking addicting? Because people want to know what you do when you're doing things that I normally don't get to see. Your members are curious, what happened? Don't they just work out all day? Did they literally just talk for 10 minutes as to why, you can't use the word chink, it's a racist term? I said chink, I said something, and we went on a 10-minute spiel about chink being a racist term. It was fucking hysterical. It was pure comedy. No one's offended. Wouldn't care. But it was shit like that, and then people come in the next day, or like after the podcast, they're like, fucking hilarious. It's like inside jokes. Anyway, podcast.